Welcome, welcome. So we are about to start. See, speakers are here. Let's warm up this floor. So good morning, everyone, and welcome everybody to the second CAPTUS Dissemination Workshop. I'm Irene Paoletti, the host of this event, and I'm representing the consortium. And it's a pleasure for me to guide you through today's session. I'll not be alone because I'm joined by my colleague, Dusan Jakovlic, Policy Director at HELLENiQ, who will be the moderator of the roundtable discussion at the heart of our conversation later on. So this event is organized by CAPTUS Project in collaboration with numerous initiatives close to our core and our aim. So it is in collaboration with our sisters initiatives. You can see the logo here. We have SUSTEPS, COCPIT, NIAGARA, and with insight from REFOLUTION project. Today, our projects, we form the SUSTEPS cluster, which is a growing ecosystem of EU-funded projects working to advance alternative and sustainable energy carriers for Europe. You will hear later on also the presentation of our cluster. So with our collaborative framework in mind, let me guide you through today's agenda, which is really rich of insightful contribution from projects and external speakers. So after this welcome, we'll hear the first contribution from the cluster. Will be from Jose Gallego, President of Arditec Association from SUSTEPS Project, which will open with insights on social impacts and trust for algae-based biofuels. Then Chiara Monacchini, PhD candidate at University of Genova, will represent CAPTUS and will guide us through an interactive social acceptance survey, which is developed jointly with SUSTEPS Project. Michaela Papageorgiou, New Technologies and Innovation Analyst at HELLENiQ Energy, will share reflection related to COCPIT Project on market readiness for sustainable aviation fuel and maritime fuel. Then Michaela Mirea, Senior Project Manager at Lomortov SL, on behalf of NIAGARA project, we'll explore the role of technology and the enablers of social acceptance. To conclude with the speakers, we'll have Nina Westberg, Principal Scientist at VTT, so Technical Research Center of Finland, which will put on the table some evidence collected by REFOLUTION project. This evidence are comparing interesting results from citizens and technical perspective. So all of this will lead us into the core of today's session, which will be a roundtable discussion moderated by my colleague, Dusan Jakovlic, where our speakers will exchange view and experience in the field of societal challenges, communication strategies, and opportunities. This to accelerate the uptake of sustainable fuels. We'll then close with reminders about our cluster initiatives and some next steps and important appointments not to miss. So with this rich program in mind, just let's get started. These are just a few technicalities to be reminded. So this is a recorded meeting that will be uploaded on the official channels of all the projects for dissemination purposes. We invite you to respect the time dedicated to the speakers, not interrupt with the microphones, and to use the chat anytime for any Q&A, any comments related to the speaker's intervention and beyond, because we will be ready to pick your comments and to use it for conducting the flow of the roundtable discussion later on. So I would like to, without any further ado, to get started this session with the first speaker. And please, Jose, feel free to share your contribution from SUSTEPS project. The floor is yours.
Great, thank you. Do you hear me well?
Yes, perfectly.
Perfect. So I don't see any hand being raised or something like that. Please let me know if there is any question or anything. And very importantly as well, I would take for granted that we are all experts in social assessment, so I will not be into too much methodologies or stuff like that. So I think we will discuss many things about social. Okay, so let me introduce. So the topic will be building social acceptance for these biofuels, and then, of course, our role will be to demonstrate positive social impacts and for the adoption of algae-based biofuels and stuff. So to remind you, okay, just before, I will discuss a little bit about SUSTEPS because this is why we are here. SUSTEPS is an European funded project. We are developing, as I mentioned a little bit, biofuels from algae-based feedstocks. We are discussing very quickly about biofuels micro perspectives, our key technologies, the sustainability approach, of course, including the social assessments and the main takeaways. So first of all, SUSTEPS. So again, as I mentioned, we are collaborating with other sister projects, and SUSTEPS specifically, we started. Let me start by explaining a little bit. So we started in September 2023 during 4 years, and so our project vision is a very international collaboration. We are including North America with Canada, South America, Brazil, Africa with Morocco, and then all the European countries. And our coordinator is Arditec, it's a Turkish partner. And all this, it's an integrated approach. We are, so as I say, developing a scalable biofuels initiative where we are using CO2 capture, we are using wastewater, we are using catalytic HTL technologies. And the main ambition is to produce diesel, gasoline, and SAF, integrating hydrogen. There are many, I mean, this is a very holistic value chain. Before I started, yeah, there is enough material to talk about artificial intelligence and many things. I wanted to tell you a little scales from I did it myself or the AI did it for us. This presentation is entirely made it from ourselves. So we only use it for data collection, some references, but the main work is of course centered on people doing it. So I wanted to make sure of this. This is we always start with this from now, keeping on having in mind that artificial intelligence is doing a lot of stuff. So let me jump a little bit into the context. So probably there's no much efforts here because we will hear a lot of this today, but I will start very quickly saying emission targets. So we would like to reduce greenhouse gases by 65% in 2050. This is just next, we turn next the coin and then we'll be there. Current market share today, SAF is very low, So there is a huge gap. We need to work a lot. So every single initiative that we are doing is very good for this objective. And then algae-based biofuels, which is our main topic today. We think it's a promising solution. I mean, one of the main key ideas is that we are not competing with food crops. So we are trying to demonstrate that there is a possibility to do this, a scalable international cooperation. So this is very important for us. This is our main, let's say, starting point. Again, we will discuss about this, but just wanted to draw your attention a little bit on the Refuel EU. So this initiative, it's already kicking off many things. There is a tremendous growth in the market. So we will need a lot of SAF, sustainable aviation fuels. There are already some targets using synthetic aviation fuels, companies starting, airline companies trying to integrate this. There is also some mandates to put it in at least a percentage, growing percentage in all European airports. So this is very interesting. But again, this it's not only a very little scale up. This is a tremendous effort. and it requires systemic and scalable solutions. This is why we believe SUSTEPS is going to, let's say, at least is going to, we are thinking about it and it's proposing some solutions to that. Okay. SUSTEPS, it's, I mentioned it's algae cultivation. So we use industrial flue gas. We use a lot of CO2 capture in the process. We are promoting recyclability, sustainability, circularity, all these work that we normally try to work with. And then algae, many challenges, of course, because we're working with nature-based solutions, but of course there is a huge potential. And again, we are not competing with food crops. So this is very important for us. Catalytic hydrothermal. If these HTL technologies, if you are familiar or not familiar with that, in very simple word, is try to use wet liquids that are waste liquids, sewage, for example, and then we treat it with high temperature pressurized water. We use catalytic. This is why we say catalytic hydrothermal liquefaction, and then we try to upgrade it to biocrudes. And then it's very interesting, these technologies, because for example, as we are working with wet already raw materials, this is eliminating some of the steps, for example, in drying or a lot of energy consumption. So this is very important. And then it applies, of course, to the production of biofuels, not only to SAF, but also to many others. There is some challenges, of course. This is not only very nice to say on a paper, but of course, higher costs. About CapEx, for example, we need to invest heavily. There is resource dependency. We rely on renewable energy, and this is sunlight. Of course, we need to grow algae media, so this is very important. And the scale-up uncertainty, as we are working with this, we are depending on this, and the production. It's always a challenge, I would say. So the integrated sustainability. Again, I take for granted what we all have heard about LCAs, a way to measure in a very systematic and standardized way. So we see this sustainability as a very holistic way, very balanced way to see it. It's not only taking into consideration economic and environmental perspective, but also social. So social is very integrated because we are integrating stakeholders, communities. We are ensuring that all these social benefits that we are taking for granted, we need to demonstrate it. And I will just say that, for example, from SAF, Sustainable Aviation Fuels, Scotia, so even though they include some things already, because they're mainly focused, of course, on environmental considerations, but they already talk about labor rights, human, land use, local and social development. So it's important to know that Scotia is already putting some efforts, not only in environmental or economic, but also in social. So this is a very nice reference to take into account. So why social acceptance? I will speed up probably. So, okay, the goal, the stake. So it's very important to keep into mind that we do need to have active engagement. This is vital. It will foster communication. It will reduce resistance. So we really need to work with this. And then in the impact categories, as we have for environmental and economic, we do have, for example, KPIs in terms of labor, health and safety, community well-being, etc. Even though we are already working on this, we see that, for example, we have specificities, we have characteristics from all the regions in the world, and we've seen, for example, that in the case of Brazil, that I mentioned already that we're working with them, so it may generate coastal employment, and then the tradition of biofuels, you know that they are very, very strong in ethanol production. So if we link our message to that, and we are properly linking it, and we're addressing these messages, it will be better accepted. It will be better introduced and adopted by communities. In Canada, they are with local employments, CO2 sequestration, marine restorations. In Europe, yeah, we need to link it with our own certifications, the European Red II, the Blue Economy, etc. In Morocco, so they are already having some conflicts with agriculture, so with water security. So when we linked these messages, the social narrative is going to be much more, easily adopted. sorry about this. I will finish with this. So let's say when we work already on this field and then we analyze the social, already some preliminary social results, we see that we are working on a fertile ground, meaning that it's already very positive. People accept it in a very nice way. Of course, we need to keep some points. No need to read here, but of course, from an environmental point of view, we need to keep an eye on the net energy balance. Okay, and then on the feedstocks. I'm not going to enter in this because that's not the point today. But from techno-economic, we say that there is a lot of investment initially on the capex, on the machinery, etc. It's highly expensive. But then, of course, we are working with nature, and then on the social point of view, I will just finish with this. It's to ensure a genuine trickle-down effect, meaning that this theory of the economic development needs to be impactful at social levels. Okay, I think I will finish with this. We will have the time to discuss a little bit with the rest of my colleagues. So very happy to be here, and please feel free to contact us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose, for first contribution of the day, and the vivid picture of SUSTEP project was objectives goes beyond Europe, as you shown very well. So now we move to CAPTUS contribution and the interactive session of the day. We invite you all to pick up your phone and to be ready to submit your answer. So Chiara here will guide us through the social acceptance questionnaire developed in collaboration with SUSTEPS. So Chiara, please feel free to take the floor.
Thank you, Irene. I'm going to share my screen. So pick up your phone and you can join the interactive session using the QR code or entering the event code. This is a shorter version of the survey developed in the framework of CAPTUS project. And the aim is to assess the industrial perspective on biofuels and carbon neutral fuel and their role in these technologies development. In a minute, I think we can start. I wait for some more people. I think we can start with the first question. In which sector do you work in? Energy, transportation and logistics, manufacturing and heavy industry, chemical and petrochemical, agriculture and food processing, waste management and recycling, and other.
Sorry, Chiara, we just saw that the voting is closed. Can you please maybe just reset the session?
Okay.
We'll try this right now again. No worries.
Don't know why. Can you see this question? Where is your company based? Okay, this is working.
I'm re-entering with the code.
No. Yes, now yes.
Yes, now it's perfectly fine.
Thank you. There's a clear majority choosing Europe. I think we can move to the next question now. In which particular aspect would your sector be potentially interested? Biofuel end user, CO2 provider, or both? Also, in this case, the majority of people agrees on the third answer. Let's wait a few seconds and then we can go to the next question. How familiar are you with biofuels and the carbon neutral fuels and their application? Not at all, slightly familiar, very familiar, already using or producing biofuel. As expected, the majority of people is familiar or already using biofuel in this group. Let's proceed with the next one. What is your company's general stance on biofuels and carbon neutral fuels? Actively using, interested but not yet involved, neutral, concerned about the feasibility and costs of, or not interested. So I think we can proceed with the next one. What do you see as the biggest challenges for adopting biofuels and carbon neutral fuels in your sector? High costs, uncertainty, regulatory support, infrastructure and supply chain limitation, technical compatibility with existing equipment, limited availability of biofuels, lack of demand from customers or market. We can see the dominant trend, the biggest challenge seems to be the costs in this case, as expected maybe. So we can move to the next one. What factors would make biofuels and carbon neutral fuels more attractive to industry? Government incentives and subsidies, advances in production technology, public awareness, lower raw material costs. So, would your company support policies that encourage biofuel and carbon neutral fuel adoption in your sector? Yes, no, not sure. The majority of people seems to agree on this one. We can move to the last question of this questionnaire. Do you think that the industry in which you are involved would consider using biofuels and carbon neutral fuels if they were cost competitive with fossil fuels? So we are at the end of this questionnaire. Thank you for your participation, and we will continue the discussion afterwards.
Thank you very much, Chiara, for running the survey with us, and it demonstrates clearly how the expert community is part of it. I mean, giving a solid contribution, and we are looking forward to hearing the final results of your work. Now we will move to the industry perspective. And we hear reflection on market readiness and strategic challenges of sustainable aviation and maritime fuel. So I invite to this floor Michaela from HELLENiQ Energy on behalf of COCPIT Project.
Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Just
Thank
give
you.
me a moment. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Michaela, New Technologies and Innovation Analyst at HELLENiQ Energy. And today I'll share with you industry reflection on market readiness and strategic challenges of SAF and maritime fuels, based on insight we have from the EU-funded project COCPIT. Let me say a few words and introduce who we are and how we operate across the energy value chain. HELLENiQ Energy is a leading energy group in Southeastern Europe. Our core activity is refining, with 3 refineries in Greece, 2 near Athens and 1 in Thessaloniki. But we are more. Can you hear me, Rene?
Yes, very well.
Okay. So we have 3 refineries in Greece, but we are more than refining. We do more than refining. We invest in innovation and clean technologies. Our integrated value chain from refining to supplying and marketing give us a unique perspective on scaling SAF. Actually, in 2022, we became the first to introduce SAF in Greece, supplying Aegean Airlines. And this milestone gave us hands-on experience with certification, blending, and logistic critical parameters for SAF scaling. It also revealed some of the challenges which, as already mentioned, include safety, high cost, reliability of supply, and market acceptance, of course. Regardless of the challenges, our commitment to decarbonization drives us to collaborate with industry and research partners to advance SAF technologies. We support research and optimization techniques as top priorities. One example of this effort is COCPIT, an EU-funded project exploring scalable pathways for microalgae-based SAF. But what makes COCPIT unique is that it also, besides optimizing the conversion techniques, it also provides stakeholders with a very flexible toolkit. Actually, it introduces a simulating tool, but identifies the most sustainable conversion pathway based on current needs, helping stakeholders this way test before invest. As a company, beyond benchmarking, we also wanted to understand the acceptability levels, how ready the market is for SAF. So to answer this question, we surveyed top management and key business units within our organization. Their feedback confirmed what we actually saw in practice, that cost, reliable and sustainable value chains are the biggest hurdles to SAF adoption. Also identified the key stakeholders. We saw from the survey that ship owners, ports, and refiners are key players in decarbonization. So understanding their needs, interests, and influence is essential for data-driven decisions and actually to implement successfully SAFs in our industries. Why do we make SAF? This was the first question of our survey, and 90% of the participants see aviation decarbonization as the main SAF opportunity. Barriers, high cost, feedstock supply, exactly what COCPIT aims to address. We saw many other things from this survey. We understood that stakeholders value energy security and clean transport, but it is the low TRL that remains the biggest constraint. This underscores the need for more demos, for more data, for a more transparent communication. To summarize these insights, we did a SWOT analysis that reflects both the results we have from the survey and our hands-on experience. So what we see as we recognize as strengths is that SAF technology is fully integratable into our existing infrastructure when compared to other alternatives. We see that it's a very good opportunity to achieve our decarbonization goals, but we still have low TRL, and it's very difficult to provide a reliable and sustainable value chain. So feedstock is top priority in SAF. So if we want to scale up SAF technology, we must find flexible ways to produce enough quantities. So this is all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Michaela, for your insightful analysis on especially stakeholders' interest and priority, which are essential for strategic decision. We'll continue the conversation later with you and other speakers also in the round table. So now we will move to NIAGARA contribution on why social acceptance matters and all the connected enabling factors to build the trust. We'll have as speaker Michaela from Lamortov, which I invite to join the presentation.
Thank you very much, Irene, and thank you for the invitation to be part of this webinar. Really happy to be so well accompanied by our sister projects. It's a really nice opportunity to discuss a topic that maybe it's less approached in general in projects. So we are talking about the social acceptance. A bit about our project, the NIAGARA context. So the mission is to produce advanced biofuels from carbohydrate-rich macroalgae and biogenic waste to employ a fully circular approach and to ensure sustainability of the entire value chain. The project is being coordinated by CEA in France, and we are having partners all around Europe. We have some innovative pathways that our technology is proposing. So first, an innovative hydrothermal carbonization that converts biogenic waste and microalgae into hydrochar and aqueous phase. You see that there are various steps here. I will not insist very much on the process. However, I will kindly ask you to visit our website and to check there more details about the technology itself. Going to our topic today, so why social acceptance matters. We consider it equal in importance to the technical, to the financial, and to the environmental performance because many of the projects related to converting biogenic waste to energy in Europe face delays or even cancellation due to community resistance. So this social part becomes really important when we are talking about successful a good pace and stability of energy transition and adoption of these kind of projects. Acceptance is based on trust, on transparency, and very, very important, we would like to emphasize the perceived fairness. So we are not talking here about what is true or not, what can be proved or not, is how our community and our society perceive all the information and all the technology that we are proposing to them. Because in general, the social license is earned and is not granted based on evidence. It requires a lot of visible benefits and credible governance. Why is acceptance important? Because it reduces project risks, it prevents conflicts, accelerates deployment, and strengthens the climate policy legitimacy. What we mean by social acceptance, and in NIAGARA project, we have applied the Wüstenhagen model that comprises three dimensions, so a multi-layer concept. One dimension is socio-political acceptance, which involves support from governance, regulators, NGOs, and wider society. So this is one of the levels. But then we go more in local and close to the technology implementation with the community acceptance, where we discuss about support or opposition from residents, trust in developers, fairness of the process, and the low impact and benefit sharing. And of course, not ultimately market acceptance. We talk about the confidence among investors, suppliers, consumers. So we need the value chain in place. So we need the governance and the adoption of the technology. So we can discuss about the other acceptance levels. What is enabling social acceptance? I also am very sure that most of you have a good knowledge about this social acceptance, but from our review and from our study in NIAGARA, we would like to confirm with you that we have identified awareness and education being very important, so the clarity on the technology, the impacts, the benefits, the trust and legitimacy, because people need to trust the ones that are presenting the technology and that are bringing the technology next to them, but also the fairness of the proceedings. So if it's transparent, if it's participatory, and if it builds long-term support. Then we insist on the perceived benefits. So how the people consider that this new technology will bring to them some economic gain or a cleaner environment or a more regional strength. The framing and the communication, sometimes waste utilization narrative outperforms the technical framing. So we mostly want maybe to emphasize the fact that we are converting waste into something that we can use, more than explaining very in detail the technological process that the people will very little understand. And the policy stability. So people would like to, but also the market would like to have consistent incentives, predictable regulation, and so on. And in the survey that our colleagues presented earlier today, we have seen that regulation and incentives play a very important role. What drives resistance? Because we talked about what is supporting social acceptance, but what is driving resistance? Well, the information gaps, when there is confusion, where we don't know what we are talking about, where we don't know what will happen. This is very much making the society and our stakeholders to say no from the very beginning without even hearing many details. Then concerns, especially at local level. They want to know how this will impact their environment, how will smell the noise that will be in the area, how many more trucks or the traffic that will increase, and including the visual footprint in some areas where people also would like to have nice landscapes or maybe develop some tourism. The risk perception, how this technology will have impact on their health, what the risks or emergency situation this might bring to their community. Also, the inequity is very important. So sometimes community feel that the burdens are on them, but the benefits are on others and are being externalized. And this is not a fair distribution. The distrust, if the message is communicated by someone that they don't trust or they didn't consider prepared enough to communicate this message, they will not even hear it, or even worse, they will be considering a greenwashing. And the regulatory complexity, sometimes people and market and even local authorities don't understand all the permitting processes and will make this process harder to being implemented. In NIAGARA, we have tried from the very beginning, because this is a technology, it's a research and innovation action, it's a technology in development, but we have tried to work with our researchers and with our, let's say, internal group so far, to introduce the responsible research and innovation perspective. That means that we have analyzed the NIAGARA technology from 6 dimensions perspective, meaning that we have discussed about the ethics, the public engagement, the governance, the science education, the gender equality, and the open access. And we have tried to see from our project point of view, how can this be translated into something that people can relate to, in order to make the technology from the very beginning socially relevant, transparent, and accessible. We understood that this is a roadmap, so responsible research and innovation is anticipatory, is inclusive, is promoting ethics and transparency, and it involves stakeholder on the long term. We have analyzed each dimension in parallel. I will not read all these. You will have our presentation and you will be able to see the results that we have reached to. For instance, for ethics, we assume that we will consider the potential ecosystem impact in various area and environmental risks for emissions from the variable feedstocks and the complex waste streams. For public engagement, we will even use in NIAGARA later on a co-design workshop to understand the expectations and concerns of various stakeholder types. In terms of governance, it is really important that projects work with regulators, but also with the market to ensure that this technology will be further on developed and uptaken to the practice. In terms of science education, all these new developments needs to be introduced already in educational materials, or to use demonstrators to showcase the algae-based circular technologies, and to include these in those areas where further researchers and engineers can continue and further expand the research. In terms of gender equality, we are keeping an eye on this to see how can a project like this address persistent gender imbalance in bioenergy and engineering. And in terms of open access, we want also the results and the data that were generated without affecting confidentiality and IP to be open to various stakeholders, and to reuse the project findings in future policies and innovation. What's the role of technology? We have approached so far that the technology is either an enabler, but more a source of concern. But it's not like this, because it offers us also the tools to build the trust, to show the fairness, and to prove the sustainability. But it has to be transparent, so people need to know and to be informed on how that technology is improving or impacting their lives. It has to be traceability and accountability. So again, it's a matter of providing the information without hiding environmental impacts or greenwashing, and communicating with trust and with firmness the information related to its impact. Also, in terms of participation and co-creation, citizens need to be involved early, and to have this mindset change from their project, so a project that will be implemented in the community, to our shared resources, so our project that we will all benefit. Cleaner and less intrusive technology, so people will accept something that will not have a huge impact and contains all these reactions to minimum. Automatic monitoring and compliance, so we ensure that the project is implemented, but we don't stop there. The communication continues, and how this evolves is going back to the community on a recurrent basis, and visible local benefits. So all the benefits that we promised or we announced in the beginning needs to be proven once the project is taking shape. These are just, let's say, a few recommended ideas and strategies for social acceptance, because we consider that in the end, we are living in a world where risks cannot remain hidden anymore, and communities will always learn it. And so it's better to provide clear communication from the beginning to prevent misinformation, to reduce the fear, and to build trust with the ones that will be our first recipients of the technology. So we need to communicate timely, even when all the details are not yet known, and we need to provide this information as well to be complete. So everything that we know, we provide accurate facts, we don't omit, we avoid jargon. People need to understand what we are communicating, and to make it visual, storytelling, and with clear examples. To take into consideration from the beginning the shared benefits that will convince our community, and to prove sustainability, so that they will see that new technology is having a good impact in their lives. And from the NIAGARA project, this is about it, our presentation. You have here the link that you can use. Also, you can scan the QR code and join our community to be the first ones to know when we will organize events, when we will release results, and to follow us also on LinkedIn. And if you have any ideas, you can write to us, and we are open for any questions if the case later on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again, Michaela from NIAGARA Project, for framing social acceptance and not forgetting the community role and importance. So to complete the project's picture, I would welcome now Nina, presenting recent successful fundings from REFOLUTION project. Nina, we can already see your presentation and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Okay, so finally, the last one, REFOLUTION project. And I will focus here in my presentation in citizens and technical perspectives. So some highlights from 2 REFOLUTION project workshops, which we've been conducted. But first, just shortly about REFOLUTION project, which is an ongoing project. We will finalize it next year. But this is about refinery integration, scale-up and certification for aviation and marine biofuels production. We're developing pyrolysis technology to produce biofuel, advanced biofuel for aviation and marine purposes, but also this pyrolysis oil can be used in chemical industry. The raw materials will be wood-based material, but also plastics is potential. We focus our research in these wood-based materials. And we use techno-economic assessment, life cycle assessment, and this RRI, so responsible research and innovation approaches in sustainability studies of this project. So this is a Horizon Europe project. You can find more details in this website. And an important part of this project is also that we are heading existing European refineries to produce this advanced biofuel. So no need to build new refineries for these purposes. Okay, so then to these workshops in REFOLUTION for experts and for citizens. So we organized the first expert workshop in EU BCE conference in Marseille, year 2024. The participants of this workshop were the conference participant, and we facilitated the discussion there with REFOLUTION purposes. And the second workshop was for citizens, and it was organized in Tampere, Finland, last May this year. And we had there 15 invited traveling citizens who participated this workshop. And this was a 3 hours event with also expert speakers included in the agenda and group discussions. We facilitated these both workshops based on this simple value chain, which have land use, raw materials, fuel production, biofuel markets, and fuel combustion consumption parts, also certification bodies and authorities, and responsible research and development design included in this value chain. And in the citizen workshop, we also have presentations on sustainability of using bio-based raw materials and a presentation about future of travel and tourism. Then key takeaways from this expert workshop in EU BCE conference 2024. So they highlighted that more reliable and open information about biofuels is needed. Then financial incentives need to be in place and strong enough, so economic point of view. Then this cascading principle, so food versus fuel conversation was highlighted. And then fourthly, about prices. Prices up for everyone. Fair distribution of the cost should be found. And lastly, the future of biofuels is closely linked to the future of other technologies. So we need to see these solutions in the whole energy system. And then key results from the citizen workshop. Well, overall, citizens in this workshop had a positive attitude towards biofuels. They were very interested and keen on to hear the presentations and very keen on to discuss about this subject. Doubts related to the availability of sustainable raw materials was raised. And then very strongly they announced that consumers should not have to make sacrifices. So biofuels should be the same price or even cheaper option for consumers. And then again, more information is needed. Then I've made some analysis of these highlights from these two workshops, and the similarities between experts and citizens seem to be as follow. So both groups highlighted the reliable information needs. So transparent, open and accessible information about biofuels to build this trust and support for these informed choices. Secondly, sustainable raw materials. So both groups were emphasizing the importance of sourcing sustainable raw materials and also an open information about the origins, where the raw materials come from. So how sustainable they really are. Then thirdly, economic considerations. We all know that biofuels are currently more expensive than fossil fuels, but both groups see the need for fair pricing and market-based solutions. And then finally, role of policy and responsibility. There is an agreement that policymakers and companies should lead the sustainability transition, not just consumers. And then differences between these experts and citizens. First, the focus aspect. So experts and technical perspective representatives address the systemic, market and technology solutions, while citizen perspective is more on consumer experience and practical barriers. Then about detail levels, experts think that technical details, for instance, cascading principle mandates, are important, and citizen perspective addressed more qualitative and attitude-focused perspectives. Then technological view, experts highlight the sector-specific, so aviation, marine, road-specific issues, but citizens don't see these sector-specific issues in their views. Then about greenwashing, this was explicitly mentioned as a challenge in expert group. And also in citizen perspective, it was expressed, but more like a suspicion to what company claims. And then finally, the consumer focus. Experts don't see it as primary focus, while, of course, citizens see this as a central concern. So price, convenience, and fairness is highlighted. Thank you. These were my views today.